most everything. Facebook got me in trouble because some of you don't know, but I got semi-banned from Facebook because I was doing a reaction. I did a reaction to emo kids, and they said I was making fun of mentally handicapped people. So I got in trouble for that one. It was not what I was doing. I was not making fun of handicapped people. What? Miss? Anyway, so what I wanted to talk about today is all right, so sexuality. It's defined by whether you're male or female and whether or not you're attracted to other males or females. And I'm saying this based on definitions. Like bisexual means you're attracted to both male and female. Okay? Homosexual means you are attracted to the same. Okay? So you're attracted to other males or other females, or if there's an intersex thing, which I'm going to explain in a minute, it might enlighten you. But I want to read the definition of female to you guys real quick. Female is of or denoting the sex that can bear offspring or produce eggs, distinguished biologically by the production of gametes. I think that's how you pronounce it, maybe. Ova that can be fertilized by male gametes. So the question is, do females stop being females when they can't bear offspring or produce eggs? Because that's the definition of female, right? And Lainey says the definition of female is stupid. And Lainey says I'm transphobic because I don't respect the because I respect the definition of female. And what I'm saying is, like, gender is all about your social identity. It's all about how you identify yourself socially. So it's not the same as sex, because sex is all about your biology, whether or not you're, according to the definition, can you bear offspring, produce eggs? So it seems like the only people who are females or males, and this is only based on the definition, the literal definition, the definition that shows up as dictionary on Google, literally whether you're male or female is only if you're fertile and you have a relation to producing eggs or producing the seeds that fertilize eggs and create life. So I said this to Lainey, and Lainey said I'm fucking stupid. And, you know, Lainey's not the only one who was saying people are fucking stupid today, because I was saying fucking stupid too. I was hollering at Lainey going, you know, that's fucking dumb. You're being fucking dumb, because Lainey was basically completely ignoring the definitions of female. And Lainey's like, you're fucking dumb because you don't understand that definition is outdated. And I'm fucking, fuck you, fucker, fuck, back and forth. So that's why I'm here. So let's read the definition of male. Male is of or denoting the sex that produces a small, typically motile gametes, especially sperm, in other words, spermatoza. Did you know that's called spermatoza? I didn't. With which a female may be fertilized or inseminated to produce offspring. So again, male is very clearly about having the seeds, and female is very clearly about having what the seeds go in. Science. Okay, this is literal definitions. If you guys respect the language you're speaking, you will respect these definitions. Now, as far as actual attraction to other human beings, we have a heterosexuality. Looking at that definition now, it says sexual attraction to people of the opposite sex. It does not say gender anywhere. It does not say sexual attraction to people of the opposite gender. Okay? So according to these definitions that I'm using, because I'm speaking the language that these definitions apply to, if you are a trans male and you're with a male, you're still, by definition, a heterosexual, especially if your sex is female and you still have the eggs, which females would have by that, okay? And so a lot of people are saying sexual orientation definition, and this is where it gets weird. So the sexual orientation definition starts out funny. I'm going to go right to the end. I'll go back to the beginning in a second, but it says the fact of being heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual. And if you look up the definitions, the specific definitions of heterosexual, homosexual, or bisexual, they all, every single one, specifies sex. Okay, you guys? Every single definition, heterosexual, bisexual, or homosexual, they all say that it has everything to do with your sex, and it doesn't say anything about gender. Okay? So if you have the definition of sexual orientation referring you to heterosexuality, homosexuality, and bisexuality, and all three of those are saying that it's entirely about sex, to deny that heterosexuality is entirely about sex, to deny homosexuality and bisexuality are all about your sex and not your gender, that would be a little bit ridiculous. It'd be a little bit ridiculous to assume that when even the definition that you're using to defend yourself refers you to other definitions which clarify exactly what is meant. Now, the first portion of that definition says a person's sexual identity in relation to the gender to which they are attracted. Okay? Here's the problem with that. Gender is a synonym of sex, but gender has a different definition than sex. So it's kind of complicated. And maybe someone who wrote that definition used the wrong thing. Like, what if they said a person's sexual identity in relation to the sex to which they are attracted? That would be much more clear. But you type in gender definition, and a synonym is sex. Okay? Synonym means same, right? Synonym. So if we are to actually say that means a word or phrase that means exactly or nearly the same thing as another word or phrase. So maybe someone fucked up, but the point is that the numbers outweigh. And so when you have, 3 out of 4 definitions saying that one thing means one thing, and the fourth definition says it is these other things that mean this other thing, but it also says that it's gender, you have a 3 against 1 issue. And if we're going to settle the odds and find out who's right based on definitions, because it's like people say, definitions are fucking stupid so long as those definitions don't agree with them. But the moment those definitions agree with them, suddenly definitions are now valid, and we're using definitions for our arguments because they agree with us. So of course we're going to be all for them. But my point is that I have numbers on the side that I'm talking about. Otherwise, I want to be talking about the side. If it was the opposite, I would have accepted defeat by now, and I would have said, yeah, you're right, totally. In fact, Lainey downstairs said that the bisexuality and heterosexuality both referred to gender. And so I was like, okay, you win. And it was in a discussion until I actually looked them up myself and realized that Lainey used Wikipedia. And we most all should know that Wikipedia, anyone can update it, and it's not necessarily a credible source of information. Lainey says the definition that matters here is sexual orientation, but all these orientations fall under. Why does the definition that is the least specific matter the most? You would think that the 3 definitions that are extremely specific would matter more, because that's literally what they are. They're more specific. It's kind of like saying, this movie is rated R, but you're interested to find out whether or not there's a sex scene in it so you can avoid it. You're not just going to go in blindly and hope that there's not a sex scene. You're going to actually look up more specific information about that film and find out that there is a sex scene. And so it's not, the film is rated R, but it doesn't necessarily paint the full picture. So you got to look closer. And when you look closer, you realize, oh my God, this is specifically what it is. Okay? So, someone said, wait, did you just come live to prove your partner wrong? No, there is no proving my partner wrong. What I'm doing is trying to see if I'm being totally irrational by using these 3 definitions against the one, because when you come to an impasse with an argument with your significant other, there really is nothing left to do other than talk to people. And this is the problem. I could call my mom, who would agree with me immediately. I could call most anyone I know who would agree with me immediately, and that is not something that I think is fair. So, if anything, like, the internet isn't helpful either, but I did want to express my feelings on this because that's what I like doing. I like using these mini definitions to establish why I have a stance of something, especially right after I got called transphobic for using definitions, okay? I understand that definitions are totally different. than, sorry, I understand that gender is totally different than sex. Like, I totally understand that, okay? But I don't agree that it is even remotely transphobic to use definitions to simply pass them on. And if those definitions don't agree with people, then people need to take up the problem that they have with the people who make the definitions. Anyway, I'm just going to read a few comments and then I'm going to jet. And they're nothing. What's going on YouTube? It's just a bunch of randomness. And people are saying, I'm sorry, Lainey. Here's the thing. Why are we sorry for having a discussion of definitions? Why would you feel bad for Lainey in this discussion? Because this is what Lainey said. Lainey said that I would come online and you guys would rip me apart. Lainey was like, good luck. You're going to get ripped apart when you go online and talk about this. So, I mean, I'm the one getting ripped apart. Is it because I'm male? Is it because I'm bigger than the average person? Why are we immediately sorry for Lainey? Are we somehow biased in this? What happened to Lainey that didn't happen to me? Exactly. Someone said maybe you're both wrong. That's like not really a thing. I'm using definitions, and it's kind of like saying, you know, it's daytime, and the other person saying it's nighttime. It's one or the other. Can't both be wrong. I feel like you aren't listening to you're not listening to some of the more detailed comments. Show me them. What are they? We're listening to them, an actual trans person, question mark. Why don't you listen to someone using actual definitions? It's like scientific definition stuff. It's not because you're male, it's because their spouse and they're saying that their identity is invalid. I'm not saying anyone's identity is invalid. See, this is what's really fucked up, okay? People let their emotions overwhelm their reason, okay? Who's going to let emotions overwhelm the reason? Somebody who likes sticking by definitions or somebody who's very sensitive about their gender identity, okay? I get this. Lainey also said that they implied that I'm like queer because I'm with Lainey, who's non-binary, and that means that I'm queer because I'm attracted to them and they're non-binary. I'm fine with, you know, being gay, straight, whatever. I just want it to be accurate, you know? So, what I don't really care about anything but the truth. And when it comes to gender, I respect the truth because I'll go ahead and read it for you. The definition of gender is very clear, and that's why it doesn't invalidate Lainey. It's the state of being male or female, typically used with reference to social, cultural differences rather than biological ones. So biologically, male and female is typically biological. Science, right? Until you factor in the social circumstances, in which case, by definition, gender, which is specifically and very predominantly social, okay? And so that is why it's not invalidating Lainey, but Lainey isn't satisfied unless it is all-encompassing, apparently, you know? They say, and your sexual orientation is the gender you're attracted to, completely ignoring the whole second half of that definition because it's, I guess, convenient. Anyway, someone says, life isn't always about being right about facts. Really? Really? Life isn't all about facts? I can't even comprehend that. Are you going to tell that to someone when they try to collect your bills? You're like, listen, I may owe $5,000, but life's not all about facts. I don't owe you facts. I don't owe you the money that I owe you. You know, I identify as a person who doesn't owe you money. It doesn't work that way, okay? Gender is whatever you socially identify as, but reality is not yours to manipulate and change as you wish. Thanks to Ryan Herr. Someone says, without facts, we'd all basically have the intelligence of toddlers. Basically. Someone says they believe that the definitions are outdated. Right. And so when these definitions get updated, you guys should let me know so I could say, okay, so this is what it now means. But until those definitions are updated, I can't really do anything for you. I can't. Because like it's kind of like It's kind of like there's a math test, right? And right now, pi equals whatever pi equals 3.41. Is that what it is? Whatever. If pi equals something else someday, that's fine. But you shouldn't say that pi equals something different than what the book says right now. Okay? Because that's what the book says. That's what the freaking test results are. You can argue day and night, but that's still what everything on hard copy says, with the exception of one word on one definition out of the 4 definitions. 3.14, I was right. Cool, thanks. Why does everything need to be labeled? Because it's a label debate. Lainey wants to label themselves as apparently neither male biologically or female biologically, and they want to be in a gay relationship as a non-binary person, a queer relationship as a non-binary person with me, which is interesting. It's very interesting. I'm not against it. It's just interesting. You want to label yourself as heterosexual, which means you are not attracted to me, someone who is not female. Okay, so that's what Lainey said. Here's the problem with that. The definition of female. Okay. We're just going by definitions here. The definition of female is of or denoting the sex that can bear offspring or produce eggs, distinguished biologically by the production of gametes. I think that's what someone said is pronounced. So someone says she is female. That is actually not true. They are female because the she is denoting their gender and the female is denoting their biology. Okay, there's a difference. That is why you respect Lainey's identity socially, as that is by definition their social identity, but you also respect science and say scientifically or biologically female. Okay? Someone says, get over your social justice warrior, unscientific they say pseudo science. I am well known for Googling things. Because I like knowing things that are true. I know. How could you Google things? Why don't you just go off your opinion all the time? Okay, so pseudoscience is a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific method. How is male and female, the biological definition of male or female, a pseudoscience? I have a good question though. If after menopause women aren't women anymore, what happens when men get vasectomies? Exactly. Okay. So this is when it gets really curious, because it says a male is of or denoting to the sex that produces small, typically motile gametes, especially spermatozoa, with which the female may be fertilized or inseminated to produce offspring. Okay. So the question is, if you get a vasectomy, do you produce sperm anymore? Or do you not? That's the question. Because if you still produce sperm and you can still inseminate, or you can still inseminate maybe. If you can still inseminate females with the eggs, then yeah, you're a male. Okay? But my thought was, like, when people, like a long time ago, and maybe still today in some areas, men would get their testicles removed, their genitals in general removed. I don't think that qualifies as male anymore by definition, because they can no longer produce small, typically motile gametes, especially spermatozoa. They can no longer produce that. So if you can't produce that, it's kind of like saying, an apple grows from an apple tree, but if it's just the stem, it's no longer the apple. You cut the apple off, it's not an apple anymore, Or if it becomes a core, it's not an apple anymore. It's a core of an apple. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to use core basic logic to argue these things, because I would like to live in reality, and I would like to identify things as what they are. And I'd also like to identify people as what they are, etc. And that's why this debate came up. Lainey says, a male with a male is gay, a female with a female is gay, a male and female together are straight. What am I arguing with here? A male with a male is gay, a female with a female is gay, and a male with a female together are straight. Yeah, biologically. If someone socially identifies as a male, but is with another person who is biologically a male, they're not gay. And they're not gay because they don't have the same reproductive organs. And again, a male is over denoting to the sex that produces a small, typically motile gametes, especially spermatozoa. Someone says, look up the definition of gamete. I will play your game. Let's look up gametes. A mixture, a mature haploid male or female germ cell that is able to unite with another of the opposite sex in sexual reproduction to form a zygote. Okay, so gametes is encompasses both sexes, and it is used to get with the opposite sex. Okay, so we're just talking science, right? Right? Someone says, peep that transphobia, though. I don't know what that means. Can you speak English? Appreciate it. What do you identify as? I identify as what I was born as. It's very convenient for me. I have had a very easy life in that regard, which is why we should respect people who identify as other things, because they don't feel how they were born. And that's severely unlucky. That's really hard, and you should be identified as what you identify as, so long as it doesn't conflict with biology. So, someone says transgender. Transitioning to another gender. Yes, gender, not sex. It's not trans sex. Like, I don't know how you would transition to another biological sex, because it's not like you can have ovaries and a uterus put inside you. It's not like you could have testicles and a functioning, all that functioning attached to you. It's so complicated. So that's why we say gender and not sex, because we respect them as, socially a male, socially a female, but that's the end of it. I believe that Lainey should be called whatever they want. Yes, they could be called whatever they want. But what would you say to someone that says your chromosomes dictate your identity? I didn't say that chromosomes dictate your identity aside from whether or not you're heterosexual or homosexual, because there's no word saying that heterosexual or homosexual has anything to do with gender other than the one definition, which is outnumbered by the more specific definitions. Your chromosomes dictate who you are. Get the F over it. That's too vague. That's not accurate. We're a lot more complicated than chromosomes in a numerous ways. Okay, like a person with Down syndrome. They're not automatically like one thing or another. They may have a certain physical appearance, but there are high functioning people, low functioning people, etc. It's not all encompassing. Doctors literally don't do that. Not sure what you're talking about. I'm strong, sassy, obnoxious female who enjoys opening doors for men. Okay, I don't care. I don't need a label, But you just did label yourself as female. Apparently we lost YouNow for a second. That was awkward. That's why it all froze up. I guess YouTube is more reliable. I'm just like typically frozen there now. So I guess I'll go to you. Oh, wow. Someone gave me $5. Thanks for that. I never actually saw your message, though. Oh, hey, Onision, did you know JSBS deleted her channel? Yeah, that was a while ago. But that's not the topic that we're talking about, Someone said, what about pansexuality? Pansexuality is a more recent definition that I can't really cover. Someone says, I'm a pansexual, I'm a female. That's cool. Good for you. I mean, I could get into the definitions. What's pansexual? So you're biologically pansexual. You're biologically a female. And pansexual is not limited to and sexual choice with regard to biological sex, gender, or gender identity. It basically says, fuck y'all. I'll do what I want, which is great, Anyway, so because we froze on YouNow, I think that's someone playing me off to get the fuck out of here. Anyway, I just wanted to have that discussion with you guys. I didn't get ripped apart, but I appreciate the conversation. It was nice. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I'm glad that we could talk this all out. Please, again, respect people who are transgender, because your gender is valid. If you say your gender is one thing or another, it's valid because it's determined by your social identity, meaning you say you're the gender, that makes you the gender, because that's your social identity. End of story. Now, sex is a totally different thing, which we don't control to an extent, unless, of course, we get hysterectomy or something like that, or mastectomy? Hysterectomy? I gotta look up this definition now. Good job, guys. Hysterectomy. You triggered me, and now I gotta look it up. A surgical operation, remove all the parts of... Okay, so I was right. A hysterectomy, whatever. Unless you can no longer produce what females are defined to produce or what males are defined to produce, then you are still those things. Not saying. Anyway, so go ahead and end that. It just totally froze. Totally froze over there. And end this. Thank you for joining.